Hi everybody. Today we're going to talk about ratios, proportions, and similar figures.
Alright, a ratio is basically a comparison between two things. There are three ways to write a ratio. First off, you can write a fraction, like so, like 4 over 5. The next way is to use a colon, like this, like this, 4 dot dot 5. And the third way is to use the word 2. So as shown above, 4, 2, 5. Alright, so here's a word problem for practice.
Audrey photographed 30 individuals and 20 families. Chelsea photographed 15 individuals and 8 families. Who photographed a lower ratio of individuals to families?
Alright, so here we go. So first, put the two sets of information in two groups, Audrey and Chelsea. So first, let's do it from individual, or I for short, to F. So first, Audrey, just 30 to 20. Now it's Chelsea, 15 to 8, as shown over here. So ratios to fractions, so you have to simplify to get the lower ratio. So divide that by 10 and divide by 10. And you will get 3 to 2. But for Chelsea over here, it's already simplified. So 15 to 8. So as shown, Audrey the lower ratio.
An auto dealership sold 15 minivans and 20 sedans in May. In February, they sold 13 minivans and 26 sedans. Which month had a higher ratio of minivans and two sedans?
So unlike the last column, so this one requires a higher ratio. So first, group them into two groups, May and February. Alright. So for May, it was 15 and 20. February, 13 and 26, as we show above. So let's simplify. Divide by 5 and divide by 5. You'll get 3 you'll get 3 to 4. And then divide this by 13. And this by 13. And the ratio should be 1 to 2. So overall, we made a higher ratio because 3 to 4 is bigger than 1 to 2.
Our next lesson is all about proportions, which are equations that state that two ratios are equal. Also, a proportion is an equation that shows two equal ratios. The general form of a proportion is A is to B as C is to D. Example 1. The proportion is 11 over 6 equals X over 30. So the first thing that you do is write the original proportion, 11 over 6 equals X over 30. Then it equals 6X over 6 equals 330 over 6. And then you divide and you get your answer, X equals 55. My second example is 8 over X equals 6 over 15. The first thing that you do is write the original proportion, 8 over X equals 6 over 15. Second, cross multiply, and you will get 6X over 6 equals 120 divided by 6. Divide them, and you get X equals 20. My third example, this is a word problem. On a map scale, 1 centimeter represents 85 kilometers. The distance between Cleveland and Cincinnati is 4.2 centimeters. Write and solve a proportion to the distance D between the cities. So, write a proportion, 1 over 85 equals 4.2 over D. You do the cross cross product property, 1 times D equals 85.4.2. You multiply those numbers and you get D equals 357. So the conclusion is the actual distance is 357 kilometers.
Now on to similar figures. The definition of similar figures is that they are not the same shape, but they are the same shape, but they are not the same size. So in this problem, the bigger triangle has a length of 15 inches, and the width of it is unknown, so it is an X. The smaller figure has a length of 10 inches and a width of 7 inches. You would match up the two sides, the two lengths, and put one on top of the other. I usually pick the largest on top. And you would take the widths and put them one on top of the other, as shown. Okay? Widths and the lengths. And then you would cross multiply. You would multiply 10 times x and 15 times 7, and then you would get 10x is equal to 105. Then you would divide it all by 10, as seen. You would divide both sides by 10, as seen, and then for x you would get 10.5. Okay, so like I said before, x equals 10.5. For the next problem, the length of the bigger shape is unknown. So the length is
X.
known as x for now, and
The
the width is 12. Thank you, on the dot. For the smaller triangle, I should say. Sorry. The length is 9 inches, and the width is 6 inches.
Note these drawings are not drawn to scale.
Thank you. Okay, so where was I? Okay, so like in the last problem, the x is over.
You already explained this.
Okay. The bigger problem is still on top for me, and so it will be x over 9 is equal to 12 over 6. So you would multiply the 6 by the x, cross multiply the 6 by the x, and make it equal to 12 times 9, and you would get 6x equals to 108. And then you would divide both problems on both sides by 6. Sorry for the bad looking 6. And you would get x is equal to 18.
So basically, this problem involves ratios and proportions, like we learned in the previous lessons.
Yeah. And in this problem, the larger triangle has a length of 12 inches and a width you do not know. So
Unknown.
Yes, the unknown length, unknown width is presented by x, and the width of the smaller triangle is actually on top this time. So the width is 6, and the length over here is 8. So the 12 would go on over the 8, and then the x would go over the 6.
To match up with both sides.
Mm-hmm. Then you would cross multiply the 8 by the x, and then cross multiply the 12 by the 6. 8 times x is equal to 8x, and 12 times 6 is equal to 72. Then divide both sides by 8, and x would equal to 9.
So, but don't forget, you have to keep cross multiplying and matching up both sides. Because you match up like different sides, your equation won't be right and your answer won't be right either. So don't forget to do either one of those. And that's the end. Thanks for watching.